Hi, folks. Welcome to Follow the Leader, a podcast focused on telling character-driven stories through the use of GM-less tabletop games where we can all take the lead. You can find us on Twitter at FTLcast and at FTLcast.com. We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/FTLcast, where if you support us on the $5 level, as well as getting access to our bonus content, you get new episodes a day or so early. Today, we are playing And You Shall Shatter Temples by Anna Landon. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. They built their temples in the ashes of your homes. They filled their coffers with gold they earned with your sweat and suffering. They fill your mouths with their names and demand you worship them. They unfurl their flags over battlefields where they spilled your blood and never their own. Sing songs with the words they could not take from you. Raise the banner woven from the flags you stole back from them. Arm yourself with the swords you forged from their discarded bones. And You Shall Shatter Temples is a game about rising up against an overwhelming power that is trying to crush you. All you have is what you carry with you and those who rise up by your side. Together you can turn the tide. Together you can dethrone a god. They have taken so much from you. It's time to take it all back. I'm Jade, and you can find me on Twitter at JDocsofRose, as well as on Tumblr, and my pronouns are they, them. Playing with me today, we have Mac.
Hello, I am Mac. You can find me wherever you get good content on the internet at Citadel of Swords. That includes Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch, lots of tea websites. You can find the writing that I do about wrestling very, very, very occasionally at gatecrashers.fan. Yeah, that's me.
And we have Zach.
Hello, my name is Zachary Frederickson. You can find me on Twitter at Obfuscating Gods. You can find the music I make at iambugbear.bandcamp.com. You can find the writing that I do, serializing the story The Brass Ring, a Bullets and Brimstone Caper at ZacharyOlsonPresents.com. You can also find a podcast version of that story being serialized at Zapsplat on Twitter. And those are the things that I'm doing right now for sure.
All right. Our lines, which are things we absolutely do not want to see, are homophobia and transphobia, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, violence against children and animals, sexual assault, domestic violence or intimate partner violence, unwanted pregnancy, and plagues and pandemics. Our veils, which are things we're fine with addressing but will just fade to black on, are steamy situations and graphic descriptions of bodily harm and terminal illness. Now that we've got all that done, let's get started. Our first step with playing this game is we need to choose our deity. We've done the little prep offside, but use the face cards of a standard deck of cards. We're going to place them face up on our digital table, and these represent the pantheon of available gods and their disciples. We're going to choose one of them or a disciple from among them to be the sort of thing that we are struggling against. They're divided by suit, and each suit has a theme. Do we want to rattle through reading these off for our listeners, and then we can get to talking about them? Because I've just done a bunch of talking.
Yeah, so Spades is the domain of conflict, the realm of bloody-handed wreck and ruin, of the unrelenting machinery of warfare, of every blade held by hands whose promise not to turn them on you is just the promise of not yet.
Which is the home of...
Yeah, we should maybe rattle...
We are doing that.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry, that wasn't clear.
No, that's fine, which would be home of the god of war, which would be the king, the god of conquest, which would be the queen, and their warlord, the jack.
Very cool. And the diamonds is the domain of prosperity, the realm of plenty, of excess and abundance, of gilded gates and overflowing plates, where those of means never go hungry, and what is left over always goes to waste. Ruled by the god of wealth, the king, the god of hunger, the queen, and their magnate, the jack.
Clubs is the domain of control, the realm of the all-seeing eye, of the ear that hears every whisper, of the watchers on the walls, where in the name of the greater good nothing may ever be hidden. That's the god of vigilance, represented by the king, the god of secrets, represented by the queen, and their spy master, the jack.
And hearts, the domain of order, the realm of justice blindfolded, of authority and rule, where lives are weighed and measured and found wanting, and every plea for mercy falls on deaf ears. Home of the god of order, the king, the god of laws, the queen, and their judge, the jack.
So are we supposed to just choose one?
Yeah, we chat amongst ourselves, like which one we like.
Well, I
think it says we can. Go on.
No, it says we can what?
Yeah, I got the vibe that no, we do have to pick a specific god or their envoy that we're working against. So
Yes.
get like you were about to say, Zach, like given what we've talked about and what this is effectively following on from, domain of order and domain of control both make sense from an immediately obvious point of view.
Yes.
But also I suppose this is where we can talk about what this setting that we're playing in today looks like as well. And because once we have picked our god, using the other two face cards and the ace from that suit will sort of determine 3 symbols of the god's authority in this world, which are the things we'll sort of overcome throughout the game. So, and we're going to tail them to whatever domain and whichever specific representative within that domain we want to work against. Who do we want to dethrone, guys?
There's so many good options here.
I suppose one way to look at it, given the characters that we have in our minds, we'll introduce them in a bit, whether we've always been anti these gods or whether we've been like agents, like believers up until what happened, and now it's sort of like, oh, actually, fuck you.
So that can come up.
Yes, this is true.
In the optional rule under Arm Yourself, which I love.
Yes. Arm Yourself is a good one.
The question I want to answer is, have we all 3 collectively been like, oh, we need to kill this god, this specific god, or is it one of us and the other 2 are following?
That's a reasonable split. I think that I probably am for it. I also think that I was the one who used to work for the god, as was established.
Yeah. That tracks.
Yeah, no, that does track. I mean, depending on which of the gods that we opt for, I could see one that my character also would have been affiliated with. I suppose given that, and given some of the themes that we've talked about, I feel like vigilance is possibly a good one. The god of vigilance under the domain of control, or the god of laws under the domain of order. Those 2 are the ones that seem to be vibing the most for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
Damn, I did just have a thought.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
I'm putting it in text. It doesn't have anything to do with what we're picking. I'm just thinking.
Okay. Because I suppose we should look back at the domain descriptions as a way to sort of maybe help us narrow down this choice. If we like both of those gods for different reasons, I suppose, then what force in the world are we more interested in acting against?
I think order, personally.
No, I can dig that. But yeah, I feel like the domain of order is a fun thing to act against, like narratively speaking.
Ain't it always just?
Ain't it just the way? And specifically, the god of laws does feel quite good as our opposition. If we are in accord,
it is absolutely hysterical given where we just came from.
Oh, that's why. That's why we're. That is the reason we have the things have broken bad.
Yeah. Let me just get these. Okay, so now we need to discuss Now we've selected the Queen of Hearts, the god of laws, what her symbols of authority are. Or his. Like, just because the card is a queen doesn't mean the god necessarily is female,
Sure.
but can be.
Can be. 3 cards will represent the god's symbols of authority, the things that best represent the power of the god that holds over you. So I'm not 100% sure.
This is very tricky for me as well.
I mean, this is symbols as well. These don't have to be a literal thing right now. Like, as we go into the confrontations and the approaches, we can then expand upon the symbol as to how that manifests, if that makes sense.
We do.
But also, this is about reflecting the domain as much as it is specifically the god of law for these symbols.
For sure.
I'm opening up the Godsend text to try and get inspiration.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah, because the thing that I'm a little not confused, but like curious about is if it's like these. We're supposed to like look at what the cards themselves are because it's a king, and jack, and an ace. Like,
no, I think it's just because so they don't come up in because a lot of the other things are going to be shaped by what cards we draw. So they're not in the mix later. I don't think it's specific to it being an ace, a king, and a jack, though it could be if we wanted to. But I think it's more not a literal sort of representation in this case.
Yeah, I do wish there was a little bit more guidance as to what you're supposed to do with them, more specificity. So like, oh yeah, it's a suicide king and a one-eyed jack, you know. As the song goes.
I mean, so god of laws. I think we should establish: do we want this god to be genderless? Do we want this to be a masculine or a feminine force? Like, do we have any strong feelings about that? Also, we should probably come up with a name. It's not specified in the text, but I like to give a name. Also, god of laws is clunky to keep saying.
Sure.
Hold up. Pantheon name generator, let's go.
We can do it ourselves.
I mean, given the looking at that, like there are all these other gods around. We're just focused on the god of laws within the domain of order, because all of these are written as god, like, but in the gender neutral sense. So, I kind of like the notion of a feminine aspect of order. Personally, especially now that it occurs to me that we have, given the characters that we're playing, while not all female, that I like that resonance there. Especially if you're talking about like Zach's character being an agent of said god. Like the notion that maybe all agents of that god are the same gender.
Sure.
Like, I vibe with stuff like people that make a decision to work or to dedicate their life to God, like monks and nuns are a thing in our world. So,
how do you feel about Eustathia? Eustathia, which is the Greek word for stability. I was also thinking equilibria.
Also good. Equilibria feels more like the god of order.
Sure.
But we should absolutely write that down to refer to if we want to, because I dig it. What was it? Eustathia?
Eustathia. Another...
Eustathia.
The Greek word for jurisprudence is nobillogia. Or nomica, which means legal or legally.
I like nomica. I like that it's short and easy for me to say.
Nomica, I think, is the way it's stressed in the original Greek.
Yeah, Nomica's good. Let's add it to the doc.
Cool. I could see like a scale being a symbol. You know, a set of scales, balancing scales. You know, like weighing your sins.
Absolutely. And there is like that tried and tested, like, it's a symbol of justice, purportedly. So...
you know, the scales are supposed to be balanced, but you can rig a scale easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I like scales as a symbol. I was thinking about like a panopticon. I know all-seeing. We didn't pick the all-seeing eye domain, but also like if it's about a god of law, like intrinsic to that is punishment. So I don't know. Panopticon is also fun to say.
So I'm thinking a little bit more abstract, because
Abstract is good.
I love to. If you know anything about me at this point, it's that I love to go abstract and thinking about, like, my word is law, my promises are binding.
Mm-hmm.
You don't break that shit.
Yeah.
The things that I say go.
Mm-hmm. I dig it. I'm wondering how
That
to
can work in your favor, or...
Mm-hmm. So I dig it. I'm just wondering what to write down.
Oh, I can write it down.
Yeah, my word is law.
The sanctity of honesty.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a thing under that because that has given me an idea for one of the things we can go to based on that. So wait till that finishes being typing and then I will add the thought.
I just really liked what Zach said about the sanctity of honesty.
That's good. I'm going to quickly add underneath this as a thing.
Which plays in some level into knowledge, but that's not a bad thing, I don't think.
Cool.
I like the idea. I also like the idea that the God of Laws has a record of every oath that has ever been sworn.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, when people try to bring that shit to court of law,
yeah,
like I said, sometimes it works in your favor and sometimes it works against you. It just depends.
It also makes me think a little bit about how, like, precedent works in the legal sense. And obviously it's different here in the UK, but, like, constitutional law, like, it's written, here it is. But also when laws are named up, the easiest one that comes to my mind, topical, is Roe v. Wade. But we have records of that case that we refer to, and that is the binding law. So, yeah, like, there being records of everything, like... the divine equivalent of bitch, I have receipts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I do like scales, though, and I think we should have that as one of the symbols, for sure. Because that can be a very simple symbol. It can be, like, we can extrapolate quite a lot outward from that as a starting point. So we need a final symbol of authority. The things that best represent the power the god holds over you.
Oh, I thought we were going with Panopticon.
I figured it was maybe a little bit too much to do with the domain of control.
Oh, fair.
And also the Magnus Archives. We did our arc.
I knew that you were thinking about the Magnus Archives. I was not concerned about it, but...
No, also, the symbols of authority, the things that best represent the power the gods holds over you. What if it is the, whichever... I'm thinking basically like this world's equivalent of the police.
Mm-hmm.
Or like even just like I'm thinking about the visual of a badge of authority, a literal symbol in that case.
The marshals.
But like people acting on behalf, like I am a champion of Nomica. I wear her symbol. I'm going to take this now, or you're going to prison.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, the marshals.
Yeah, marshals is a good word for it. Thank you. I didn't want to use police, the word police, even though, you know, we're going to go try dethrone the god of laws. So, you know, also this podcast's position has been made clear on many occasions. Mm-hmm. To reiterate, all cops are bastards.
Yes.
Just in case you weren't aware of that before.
Hi, if you have a problem with that, feel free to stop listening. You're probably not going to like a lot of other stuff we have to say.
If they got to this point, I don't think we need to worry too hard about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that people call lawmen and call sheriffs and marshals stuff are lawmen. So like that's pretty it's pretty apt. You know, you get the cool duster, you get the silver badge, the silver star.
Mm-hmm.
You get the weapon of office.
I'm gonna put just the badge or the marshal badge because we know what we're talking about, and it's just a thing we can write down that we know and can expand upon when it becomes relevant. I'm also just thinking about something that came up in the discarded recording for the first attempt at the beginning, where we talked about what your character had given mine, Zach. So it's good, is my point.
Yes, I don't remember what it was, but I believe you that it was good.
I'll message it in a minute. Okay, so we have our deity. We have her symbols. So the next thing is that we need to arm ourselves. You know what you stand against. Now the time has come to define who you are and how you will fight back. Each player draws a card from the deck and places it in front of them. This card is going to define something that is true about your character. Then we'll go around again, each draw a card, and that card defines the means by which we're resisting or attacking divine power. We got a list in the game PDF to help us interpret the cards. There's an optional rule, which is fun, which is the suit of whichever deity you pick is theirs. Throughout the course of the game, when drawn, any card of that suit directly represents them and their power in some way. Should you draw a card of that suit, how to interpret it is up to you. Perhaps you are fighting back armed with weapons you stole from them. Perhaps you were once a true believer. Perhaps the place you pass through has symbols of divine power carved into the landscape. So something to bear in mind. Obviously, there's significantly less of that suit because all the face cards and the ace have been pulled out of the deck. So if they do come up, it becomes sort of more relevant or poignant. If we want to use that rule, I like it personally.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. Do you want to go first, Jade?
I'm bleeding, so I'll just go. You go first, Mac.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this is something that is true about them.
Mm-hmm. Zach, do you want to draw a card and then we can all sort of
see. Yes.
Share what we got? Yeah. So,
I know exactly what this is.
Okay, wicked. So this card is defining something that is true about your character. So Mac, what did you draw?
I drew a 10 of hearts.
Nice.
And hearts being
representative of our god.
And also
our domain. And also, faith, support, and spirit is hysterical. I am leaning away from that and more into our god, because obviously faith, support, and spirit tied with order and laws and stuff like that is a little bit wonky. So I'm just gonna condense this down because I know exactly what this is. I was gonna bring this up at some point in the episode. It's fine. It works out.
Mm-hmm.
My character does not lie.
Okay.
Directly. But everything that my character says is true. It just depends on your perspective. There's a loophole for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And
I love that.
In some cases, the loophole is, well, I can say things that are true and speak around what isn't.
Love it.
Cool.
All right. I think you want to just pop that on the table, as it were, in front of you, Mac. Or you can leave it in your hand, but we'll write it in the doc so we can keep tabs. What about you, Zach? What did you draw?
I drew the 5 of clubs. Clubs representing secrets, deep knowledge, and connections, which makes sense that I would have deep knowledge of this organization, this dogma, considering I was once a part of it.
Dope. Okay. And I drew the Ace of Spades.
The Ace of Spades!
Yeah, I had that thought too. But spades, in this case, represents weapons, armor, and tools of armed conflict. And I think what's true about my character is that they have very deliberately made themselves dangerous. They have honed themselves like one would hone an edge. Because it's better to hurt somebody else than be hurt yourself. But it was a very deliberate construction. They made themselves this way.
Sure.
All right. And your second card. This is the means by which we are resisting or attacking divine power.
Fuck!
I hit shuffle, I swear, more than once.
It's just coincidence. It's just coincidence. That's all
Sure
this is. It's
Sure it is.
You want to say what it is?
fucking 9 of hearts.
Wow.
It's good.
It's good, but I don't know if I have something for it.
Well, it's our game. The author is napping is our rule. You can recall it if you want and pull a different one. Just make sure it goes back in the deck. I'm happy for you to do that. Also, that means we have the more opportunity for another heart to come up later.
That's one of the things I'm thinking, is that.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, do you want to draw yours, and then I'll...
Oh, I've already drawn mine.
And I've already drawn mine, so feel free to grab another.
Yeah. And I will be clear, if I draw another hearts, I'm keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
This is one redo. That's much better.
Cool.
All right.
That is doable.
What did you get?
I drew the King of Clubs.
Ooh. Fun.
Which is very good considering what I was thinking about before.
Yeah.
Clubs being secrets, deep knowledge, and connections.
Mm-hmm.
And my character being a mystery wrapped in an enigma wrapped in a taco shell.
Mm-hmm.
That is my armor. Is, on some level, I'm untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Well, I got the 6 of diamonds,
Mm.
which represents gear, wealth, and resources. And I think what that means is I've got a stockpile somewhere that will be useful. Some stuff that I put down and in a safe place that needs to be regained.
I'm going to do my do-over because I also got diamonds and was struggling to think about what that looks like for my character.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll quickly grab that. All right. This works much better with how I've been thinking about this character. I also drew clubs, secrets, deep knowledge, and connections. And what this is my character knows people. They know where to find things. They know how to get things. It's their bread and butter. This is how they get things done. They don't do it. They know who can, or they know where to get it. And they've spent a very long, long time building up this network of how they do it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, we have our characters. We know what they're about, how they're going to go fight God, or this particular God. And the thing that happens next is we begin the attack. So, this is us standing on the threshold of our God's personal domain at the first approach. And this is where we're going to introduce you guys to our characters.
Yes. And I think that we are on a ship. Now, we can talk about what kind of ship that is, if we're coming in by sea, or if this is some sort of airship, Final Fantasy style, which could be fun, or some sort of like land crawler, because we were last seen on a vessel of some sort, and that should be the first thing that we see when we are seen again. I
like the notion of a sailing ship being on water.
Cool.
Mm.
So this is a very it's a very oceanic world. We're like coming into an island. This is the domain. Maybe it's part of an archipelago, because we are sailing away from a tiny island, equidistant from everything that could be close by, upon which only one structure rests. great kiln, into which sinners are fed, and out of which come sometimes the penitent, but oftentimes their bodies. And nothing else enters or leaves, except this time, us, as the boat scythes against the waves, ocean spray misting the deck, and our party tangling with a boat that is probably meant to be sailed by more people than just 3. Though perhaps, maybe we grabbed some other prisoners to help us crew the ship as we fled.
Sure.
Yeah, people are hoisting the gangplanks and pulling on the main jibs, unfurling the topsail as a gust of wind blows through it. I sort of describe. Do you want me to put my character in, or
before you do so, can I put maybe this is not the first ship that we've been on, but rather we have gotten onto another one, either like bartered our way on or commandeered it for our purposes.
We could have, certainly.
I just like the visual of our 3 being on one thing and then realizing that we're going to need something. We're going to need a bigger boat, and so have managed to get onto another one.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Exactly.
Sure, we could have done that.
They were looking for that ship, but we're not on that ship anymore.
Yeah.
That ship's at the bottom of the ocean because we sunk it.
Sure. Sure, yeah. So we're on a new vessel, a merchant vessel that had the misfortune to pass by and join our little band, as it were. Does that make us pirates?
Well, we were already criminals. So
I
no,
think they'll call us pirates.
Yeah. I mean, what is a pirate if not a criminal on a boat in the eyes of the law?
Okay. So here's an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an idea. We see the crew hoisting the colors, moving the sails to catch the wind just right. The camera pans and follows inside the ship to the captain's quarters, where a man in a powdered wig and a long embroidered coat sits sulking in his quarters, his opulent quarters, with all the food he would need and all the alcohol he can drink, pounding on the door and shouting like, "You won't get away with this! This is an affront to the crown, to the goddess. By doing this, you have made great enemies this day." But everyone else is just working and is fine. This is the only guy who's mad, because he's the captain.
Perfect. Love this.
And the door, the camera like pans past the door to see a pair of deckhands just kind of like snoring next to the door, acting effectively as guards, but mostly just chilling, as a woman with red hair and tattoos balances the captain's hat jauntily on her head and says, "Don't worry, as soon as we get where we're going, you can have your boat back." And it stops, like, freeze frames on her, and the color leaches out. It becomes sepia and woodcut as the wanted poster unfurls onto the screen. Cordelia Waite Smith, wanted for heresy, ties to organized crime, and for escaping the kiln.
I love her so much.
Yeah. And someone else can take it now.
Yeah, I'll go.
All right.
So the wanted poster disappears with almost like a snap of the sail, one of the sails, sending the camera tumbling over itself to bob and weave, and finds itself going down below decks to a small cabin where a quartermaster sits, books spread out in front of them, explaining the state of affairs to a individual with dark hair and dark eyes who is listening very carefully as fingernails rap against the wood, looking a darn sight more put together than the last time we saw her. Clearly has gotten a hold of some means of getting cleaned up and patched up. The dim light shows the crawling vine of roses and vines tattooed on the side of the head. The same sepia tone washes over the screen as that woodcut effect comes in again, and the name Nesmi Kazel comes up. Crimes listed for so many. And I think that like rattles through, just like the text is very small, as there's these various things that have had to be crammed onto the bottom of this wanted poster, and in a different hand added at the end also, escaping the kiln.
Hell yeah.
The camera finds the outline of someone over the quartermaster's shoulder, but just as quickly as it catches focus, it loses focus as the outline vanishes back into the darkness. And it kind of like, the camera does that thing where it goes to like turn away and then comes back because it caught something, and that's when the outline just kind of disappears. And the camera comes back up, and it is now nighttime outside of the ship. The waters are calmer. The crew on deck is taking this momentary respite. The guard rotation is shifting, and we come back, and we go back down to the captain's quarters. Cordelia Waite-Smith herself is nowhere to be seen. And the captain is now drunkenly banging on the door, trying to get the guards to open it up. And a figure melts out of the shadow of the room. The camera cannot quite focus properly, but there's more color there than there was the last time the camera tried to focus on this person. And the sepia tone comes up, and again, it can't quite catch anything.
Yeah, I like it. It says like a question mark where the face should be. An unknown accomplice.
Yeah. I think there's also, like, it, like, flicks through wanted posters because it can't, like, decide what this person looks like. Like, no one can pin down the face. And the name comes up, and it says Vi Dumarche, wanted for blasphemy, necromancy, and escaping from the kiln. And the sepia and the woodcut vanish, and Vi taps the captain on the shoulder, who jumps with a little scream.
Ah!
And Vi says, "Can you keep that fucking racket down? Some of us are trying to sleep."
I think he just faints.
Yes! All right. So now we've introduced the players in this scene. We need to each draw a card, and this is going to help us determine something about the domain that we're entering. The land hoe, as it were.
Or it could just be that we're entering into lawful waters.
Yes, absolutely. Again, we have a little key here in the text that we can elaborate on. So,
Mhm.
all right.
Did you draw?
I did draw because I was prepared for this moment. So I drew the Ten of Diamonds. Diamond in this case refers to the material, physical aspects of the environment, sights, sounds, and scents.
I drew a 4 of spades, which in this case, spades are dangers and threats, signs of conflict.
Then I drew the 9 of spades. More dangers, more sides of conflict.
Excellent. So things are not good.
No, perhaps not. So I think it's night, but the boat is like kind of rattles a little bit as it scrapes along something. And Cordelia runs down below decks and says, "Hey, I need everybody up now."
I love the visual, that she just has such a natural sort of, or it might be she's worked on this authoritative quality, that it's not just, oh yeah, nah, we like her more than we like our captain. There's just something about the way she speaks to people, just like, oh, yep, hop to it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And as the crew begins to rouse, we see physical aspect of the environment. In the distance, you can see the great gleaming island that the goddess's primary temple rests upon. You can see in the distance the enormous silver scales that form the tower in the center of her home city. It's like a tower with full this tower is this. Yeah, you get it. But outside of that, in the waters, you see they're thinking about danger and threats and also material aspects of the environment. Walls just jutting out of the water, like a labyrinth, or that is shifting. And that's kind of the thing. It's rings of stone that are rotating in opposite directions, and they each have gaps in them, gateways that you can pass through, but they need certain things to be able to pass through them safely that we did not have. And we're there earlier than we expected because it's grown larger since the last time Cordelia was here.
Sick.
Yeah, time dot is. Time dot passes.
Yes.
Episode
Cordelia's
title, August. Thank you.
maybe. Cordelia's God, I didn't think we were going to get here until tomorrow morning. And then someone's like, oh yeah, they added another couple layers to the maze, 2 years ago or whatever. And so what it is rings, concentric stone rings that have archways in them that a ship could pass through. And the way it's supposed to work is that ships carrying proper letters of marque or the proper oath sworn, the rings line up so that you can just sail through unimpeded. But we don't have that. And so we're going to need to weave the ship through these rings without getting crushed.
Do we want to establish anything else before we sort of get to the confrontation?
Yeah, I came up with a bunch of shit, so if other people want to come up with stuff too.
I don't mind. It's very helpful for me because I'm always no thoughts head empty.
I definitely want to expand a little more, so I'm just thinking a bit.
Oh, one thing that it could be that I was thinking of is it could be the original captain's I have, letters of marque, or I have the proper paperwork, and he tries to do it, but the fact that we're on the ship overrides his paperwork, and that's the problem. Is it now, I'm sorry, bud, you're an accomplice in the system.
I like the notion that, so when you establish it, Cordelia realized we were coming up on something, and we've established that it's the outer or additional layers in this sort of labyrinthine, weird, rotating circles of protection around the island. just to get the picture clear in my head of what we've established about what's going on.
Yes. The idea is that if you're allowed to pass, if you have like the proper paperwork, the rings will line up in such a way that you can just sail straight through. But we have that, and thus we need to like weave our way through without getting crushed between stone rings.
I think just something that we know is like while people are like, okay, this is what we need to do, we need to sail around it. I think what's unsettling is how it begins raining as we enter this, but like rather than the waters being choppy, despite the moving of these circles, the water is still like not still or placid, but it's like the current is very clear and it's not behaving in the way that a force of nature should. All the lines seem to be too straight. All the cresting of waves is too regular. The force of order is suppressing that of nature. And as the rain falls down to the deck of the ship, the raindrops are hitting with a perfect rhythm, like a metronome. Just like, it's almost like the ticking of a clock. And this sense that we're moving into a space incredibly rigid, where even the forces of nature are beholden to order, is palpable.
Yeah, it's not... It'll be fun. I've got some thoughts I'm putting into my pocket.
Hell yeah.
For the future.
The next thing it says in the text is that, because this will involve a roll, is we have to determine which of the embodiments of the god's power we encounter first as we sort of enter this domain. Because I like the visual of like the ship is going and like these very well practiced sailors are having to work with like any regular movement caused by these shifting walls and the effect it has. It's still like regularly happening, so if you time things correctly and just like a bunch of sailors like on road like pull like the main jib one way, and so that we've started moving in to this mass of shifting rocks.
Yeah, Cordelia is like running up and down the deck, shouting commands and like watching the movements.
Mm-hmm. So what symbol is it that we encounter? And we discuss this amongst ourselves. And how does it manifest here?
I think this could be the word of law. Of like the fact that like this is that we are coming outside of an oath, outside of like the proper like lawful entry is like, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it could also be the marshal badge. Because there's a part of me that wants to save the word of law and the sanctity of honesty for the end.
But I know, I think I'm with you, Matt, in like, because we talked about like if you have the right mark, you can get through as well. So there is something in that this is about the sanctioned power of the marshals. This is what we're dealing with here. Like this is the structures in place designed to force people to behave a certain way, reinforced in a very literal sense by these walls. I like the thought maybe that the camera sort of swings up and we get this bird's eye view of the ship navigating, and as these walls shift and move, we see them moving into the symbol of the marshals and then out again.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh yeah.
So cool. So now one of us is going to be attacking this symbol, as it were. And you'll be rolling.
Oh, it's just one of us?
Yeah. I didn't realize that. I thought everybody got to do it, but no. One of us steps up I feel like it's maybe Cordelia, as she is already kind of leading in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she knows this the best. She knows that symbol. She has wielded that symbol.
Mm-hmm.
If you're happy with that.
Yeah.
All right. So you roll 2d6. We'll see how you do.
See how we do.
Before you do so, I'm gonna, because basically this is just roll 2d6 and we got a list of possible outcomes. But if you roll a 6 or less, you've done everything you can this round, but your efforts have helped others. One of your fellow players will roll next and may do so with advantage. And also you can add +1 to the results of a roll by using the card that represents your means of fighting. You can add this to your own roll or to someone else's, and then you describe how you help based on what the card represents, and then you discard it. Effectively, that resource is gone. So
cool. All right. Well, let's give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. Just 2d6.
roll them bones.
There's an 8. You succeed in overcoming, but you stumble. The next time you roll, detract 1 from the resulting number. I think what this is like there's a few times like Cordelia is like runs up to the thing and like is like pulling on the wheel along with the helmsman as they're like trying so hard to like not crash into the wall, but like we cut to us outside of the like on the inside where it's daytime somehow. Like it's either that like it was just always day inside or that we spent the whole night going through this labyrinth, but the ship is trashed by doing it, and like Cordelia has been run ragged from the trial of this deed. She is exhausted, and that's how she stumbled. She's like, very tired.
Good shit.
Nice.
All right, so we've effectively made it to the shores of the island.
Yeah.
Like, if our boat's fucked, I feel like we're not sailing no more.
Yeah.
That's good.
We come aground, and like people like get off the boat, and the captain like comes out, and he's like, oh, my ship. He's upset about it.
You can buy a new ship. You can repair this one.
He's upset about it.
All right. What you gonna do? So, to carry on in the text, further in, you are deep within the divine domain now. Here you find a moment to catch your breath and regroup. We can take a break from the game if we decide we need it. It's not a bad idea, actually, given that we've been at this a little bit now.
Yeah, a bio break's not a bad idea.
I do like a baked-in bio break in a game text.
It's very good.
Shout out to Anna. So, each of us is now going to draw a card from the deck and use it to describe their relationship with another character or an experience you have shared with that character. Again, different little key suggesting whatever suit we pull, what it might be. But I just want to paint the picture, like, is this like this crew camped out on the beach of the God of Law's island? Like, what does the camera find here before we get into these shared memories and moments? Is it daytime? Is it always daytime here, or is it a very rigid, no, night and day are exactly this long?
I like if it's night and day are exactly this long, just really, really playing against nature here.
For sure.
Dope.
Yeah. So we're like on the beach. Look, the big temple city of Namika looming in the distance, the silver scales visible from any point of the island. You know, it felt smaller from further away.
Most things do. Are you okay?
It's just that things get realer the closer they get.
You aren't wrong.
She takes off her captain's hat and tosses it to the old captain.
Should have kept that. It suited you.
Yeah, but it wasn't mine.
Do you think that stopped you from taking things that weren't yours to begin with and making them your own?
Thing is that they were mine, and they just didn't know it yet.
An important distinction. Okay.
Where's Vi?
Vi is, like, standing off, like, at the, like, where the sand of the beach meets the ocean. And, like, obviously there is, like, there's a bit of a breeze, not a lot of a breeze, because obviously things are kept in.
Mm.
But there is waves against the shore.
Mm-hmm.
And Vi is just standing there with Vi's feet in the water, watching the water, like, kind of crest over Vi's feet.
Mm-hmm. Vi
is wearing a like, long red skirt that is kind of getting caught in the as the water comes up in its very rigid tidal patterns. Catches the hem of the skirt and makes it a little bit, soaks it a little bit with salt water.
How on earth did you move, Vi? And I look at Cordelia as I Jade nudge Zach to take a card.
Oh yeah, I gotta draw a card. I rolled clubs. A secret between you or something you wish you could tell them.
Oh, I'm so glad you drew this for this relationship.
Is this for between Vi and...
Really, it could be any. I framed it as like Nizami asking Cordelia, but it doesn't specify. I mean, also, there's enough cards that we can each pull 2 cards and do one for each relationship, because I think that would be fun and interesting.
Yeah.
I think what happens is Nezumi and Cordelia are standing at the top of the beach looking down at Vi, staring out onto the surf, and like it kind of goes to Cordelia's, like goes close on Cordelia's face, and then it cuts to like a much younger Cordelia, drenched in shadow, as some people loom over her in like an alleyway, and she's like got bruises and cuts on her face, and she squeezes her eyes shut as the sounds of some, and like mutters something under her breath that sounds like a prayer, and then some terribly visceral sounds are heard. And when she opens her eyes again, the people who were menacing her are not in the same physical configurations that they were previously.
No, not at all.
And there is a being there. I mean, you can you can tell me what Vi looked like at this point.
Even less focused than Vi looks now, if that's even possible. I think Cordelia's mind fills in a lot of the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways. But this is Vi at Vi's most monstrous.
Mm-hmm. And yet, in that monstrosity, a hand kind of reaches out for Cordelia as a child to take, which she does.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, it goes close to beat up child Cordelia's face, and then cuts back again to adult Cordelia, and she shrugs. She says, I was just there one day.
Nezumi squints up at Cordelia. She's not a lot taller, but taller enough. And just said, fine, don't tell me.
I don't know what you want from me.
No, you never do. And walk down to the beach. I'm gonna draw a card.
Very good.
So I also drew a club.
How about that?
How about that? And I think this has to be about, given that I just dropped a line, I feel like this has to be about Nezumi's relationship with Cordelia. I think much in the same way the camera follows Nezumi as he walks down through the sand, and the camera sort of pans down to their feet. That sand gets kicked up and then falls into like perfect like Zen garden style circles when it lands, before like panning up, and it's not a lot younger, maybe 5-6 years younger, but you can see the tattoo looks fresher, and rather than the sort of long hair Nezumi currently has, it's sort of like cropped pretty short and spiked up, sort of a smear of like a stripe of makeup all the way across both eyes, going like slamming out of a building, stepping outside and just leaning against the wall, clearly trying to gather his composure, looking down at his hands. The camera sort of follows the hands sort of like go into a pocket, and we see them fiddling with something, but we don't see what it is, and their expression hardens, and hear a little waste not, want not, and they head off down the street, and we see them go into a small shop, some description, like a pawn shop, some kind of like general traders. And the camera sort of stays outside the shop, and we see an exchange. Something slid over the counter. Some money is handed back to them, and then they walk away with a slight jangle of coin in their pocket. And the jingling of coins turns into the rush of surf as Nezumi joins Vi down at the shore, pulls off boots, and rolls up the bottom of the trousers, and then steps up next to Vi, and it's just like, "You'll catch a cold. Can you catch a cold?"
I haven't yet, so I doubt it.
First time for everything. How are you?
Violet turns,
Mm-hmm.
and Nezumi gets the distinct feeling that this is an incredulous look
Mm-hmm.
that is being leveled at him right now. Vi is like,
What's that look for? Question.
I've never been anything more than fine. Or less than fine.
I meant more with you being all waggles a hand in this general direction in a place like this. And like they kick up some of the surf, and the water just sort of like arcs in a perfect arc, and then plip, 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 like in a dead straight line, and then glances back in the direction. I always like it like Nezumi knows better than to try to look directly at Vi, but will sort of like, if I'm talking to Vi, I will look in that vague direction. The good autistic, like looking at the top of the shoulder kind of a vibe. Like,
yes.
acknowledging the person there.
Which is definitely safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely safe. In fairness, Vi did not understand the question.
That's fair.
There is this just, like, long moment of silence while Vi, like, picks apart the words that Vi needs in order to speak. And Vi then just kind of huffs and is like, I have never seen merit in lying. So, being bound by honesty is not a hardship, and it is not my problem that I and hands come up here to do air quotes. Don't abide by the natural order of things. And Vi sweeps a hand towards the surf, where that perfect arc of water droplets just hit the ocean's surface. Neither does this. So, by virtue of a loophole, I need an epithet.
Epithet for what?
Hey, Zach, you're good at epithets. Can I have an epithet?
For Namaka?
Yes.
Namaka, the easy one is Lady of the Scales, Keeper of Oaths, the Argent Arbiter.
Ooh.
Silver is a holy substance for her. Our Lady of the Balanced Scales. I could keep going.
Arbiter's good here. Vi just kind of shrugs and is like, honestly, the Arbiter doesn't have a leg to stand on it when it comes to me.
Does anyone?
Yes.
Eyebrow goes up. Don't suppose you'd care to tell me?
No, I wouldn't.
Of course. Glance up the beach towards Cordelia.
That was me, not Vi.
Yeah.
Are we going to do 6 cards, or are we just going to do 3?
Well, we're doing good for time, but also I feel like that would also be a nice close on the circuit if you wanted. Like, I don't want anyone to feel obligated to doing it, because the text says 3, but if people want to maybe see another relationship, we could keep going.
I'm happy to
to
keep going. I think we spent a good chunk of time with this.
Sweet.
Yeah. So then we'll close the circuit here. That's why I was asking, because I was like, I need to... If we were going to keep going, then this was going to be about Cordelia, but if we're closing the circuit, this is about Nezumi.
Cool.
This is not... No. This is a flashback.
Yeah.
This is a flashback for Nezumi, because I think... Well, this is Nezumi's past. Time doesn't mean very much to Vi. I'll be honest there.
That's fair.
So this was a dream, and this was a dream that Nezumi had about a figure who was in clearer focus than Vi is now. And Nezumi can't quite pick out all of the details, except for mismatched eyes, a face cracked like porcelain, not white, but cracked in a very strange way, like with chunks missing out of it, like with broken porcelain. And a conversation that went much like this. Except that conversation ended with, "This is a dangerous game that you play. This is dangerous knowledge to possess. But if anyone can handle it, I think you'll be fine." And it's a gift of resilience. Where Nezumi could probably tolerate looking directly at Vi. Cordelia definitely can, but that's a completely different thing. Cordelia doesn't give a shit about anything, consequence-wise.
Well, you know.
Well, when it comes to Vi, specifically, you know, as what we saw earlier proves, Cordelia could... Please don't do this, Cordelia. Cordelia could stab Vi through the heart, and Vi wouldn't retaliate.
Oh, wow.
Probably. There's a respect that Vi has for Nezumi, I think. That's the key here. So, yeah. So we get flashes of that moment, just like in the whoosh in, whoosh out sort of vibe, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Whoosh into a flash of it, whoosh back to the waves. Yeah.
I dig it.
Oh, I know.
Do we want to close there, or does Nezumi have any witty one-liners to come back at.
Jesus. No pressure. All right.
It doesn't have to be.
I think, like, the last of the memory or the flashback fades. And we see, like a mirroring shot of these two figures in the present. Like Nezumi's sharp profile and his incredibly indistinct one that's hard to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
I think they say, I'm going to show something along the lines of, the feeling goes both ways.
Mm.
And I just, because I'm on my bullshit, I just like the idea of, like, is it a rack focus, which goes to sort of like Cordelia in the background, framed between the two of them on the beach, because I'm about my bullshit.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Because of course.
Because of course.
We know what the fuck we're about.
Mm-hmm. So everyone gets rested up and we get moving again. And we move on to the second confrontation.
Hi, it's August, and I just wanted to thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed us, please consider leaving a rating on your podcast platform of choice, telling your friends about us, or tweeting about us using the FTLcast hashtag. We are also part of a nonprofit podcasting guild called Standing Stones Productions. We do a variety of shows, including The Room Where It Happened and Dumb Kids Playing Hero, 2 actual play shows, and a Steven Universe discussion podcast called Gay Space Rocks. We also do live streams at twitch.tv/standingstonesprod. You can keep up with everything that we do on Twitter at stones_standing. Unfortunately, Standing Stones was already taken. Your support means a lot. Thanks again!